The Rock should come clean right now. He should make a video in response to the Liver King video. I need to talk to you because The Rock's been lying. There's not a fucking chance in hell he's clean.
No.
Not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is, at 50?
The last few years, he's definitely like turned it up a notch.
At 50.
Yeah.
That's natural, bro. That's
how could you think otherwise?
Eats a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even get there with HRT.
When Dwayne Johnson, known everywhere as The Rock, stepped onto the red carpet at the Venice Film Festival, people immediately noticed something was off. His larger-than-life superhero frame, the same one fans had been used to for years, suddenly didn't look the same at all. It wasn't just a small change either. People could clearly see that something about his look had shifted, and it sparked a wave of whispers right away. Now in his 50s, it started becoming harder to ignore, and fans began realizing he might not be as untouchable as they once believed. After opening up about dealing with heart-related issues and needing long-term medication, it shook the image he had built over time. For years, he pushed the idea that everything came down to discipline, non-stop work, and pure dedication. No excuses, just results. He wasn't just an actor, he was the highest paid name in Hollywood, known for that extreme routine, waking up at 4 a.m., grinding every single day, and preaching success through sweat and sacrifice. His social media painted a picture of unstoppable drive, like everything he achieved came from sheer willpower alone. But now, people are starting to question things. What if that image wasn't the full story? If his physique wasn't completely natural, and these recent changes are a sign of something deeper, then what does that really say about the empire he built around that image? That's where the questions really started.
The fund, there was some backlash that came with launching the fund, and I want to address and acknowledge that backlash right now. And here's what I have to say about that. I get it, and I completely understand, and I could have been better.
The more you dig into it, the more it starts to feel like the warning signs were always there, just hiding in plain sight. Little moments, strange reactions, behavior that didn't quite match the down-to-earth image he pushed so hard. This wasn't some sudden controversy out of nowhere. It felt like years of pressure stacking up until that real persona began to crack under it all. Things really started shifting back in 2016 during the filming of The Fate of the Furious. Johnson surprised everyone with a heated Instagram post that felt completely out of character. Instead of his usual positive energy, he went off and called some of his male co-stars unprofessional candy asses. That wasn't just random frustration, people quickly connected it to Vin Diesel, and suddenly that polished, untouchable image didn't look so solid anymore.
The Rock and Vin Diesel couldn't be on set at the same time. They hate each other so bad. They had to shoot different scenes and like shoot it so it looked like someone was there. They hate each other so much.
Didn't the Rock gotten a big thing with Tyrese too, right?
Tyrese just flipping out because like all he has is Fast and Furious.
Really?
So that when the Rock did a spinoff, he's like, how dare you? We're a family. Rock was like, no, we're not.
Well,
they gave me a spinoff, dumbass.
But remember when The Rock was shitting on his music?
That was fantastic.
That guy, you know what he does? He just goes to the gym.
The Rock
with 2 hours sleep.
A lot of steroids.
You think?
Joe.
Do you really?
You think he's getting big like that from cocaine again?
Cocaine again? He used to do cocaine?
No, I'm saying the John.
That was the first real crack. Fans didn't immediately turn their backs on him, but the vibe definitely changed and people started paying closer attention. Up until then, Johnson felt almost impossible to criticize. He made the jump from wrestling icon to global movie superstar without losing that real guy appeal. While others from wrestling struggled to break into Hollywood, he became one of the most trusted and liked faces in the industry. He had that perfect mix. Funny, humble, always giving back, always smiling, a massive 6'5" presence who still somehow felt relatable to everyday people. But that carefully built image only works as long as nothing disrupts it. And by 2019, more cracks started showing. Reports began surfacing about his no-lose clause, basically making sure his characters would never appear weak on screen. Sure, other action stars had similar deals, but with him, it hit differently. This was the same person constantly talking about humility and hard work, yet behind the scenes he was controlling how he was portrayed. That contradiction was hard to ignore.
Vince and the company always told me, hey, you can't smile enough. I was like, what do you mean? You go out, you smile, I want to make sure everybody knows you're grateful, gratitude of attitude. Every night they were chanting Rocky sucks.
Whoa.
And I had to smile through it. Ooh. The bosses were telling me, no, you got to smile. No, keep smiling, ignore it. Ignore it, just ignore it.
Even smaller moments started catching attention, like him getting oddly competitive over something as simple as rock, paper, scissors, and those clips began spreading fast. At that point, people weren't just watching anymore. They were analyzing everything, looking for signs that the image they believed in might not be as real as it once seemed. Then came the promotional moments that just didn't feel real anymore. In 2023, he posted about trying In-N-Out Burger for the first time, playing it off like some wholesome brand new experience. But fans moved fast and pulled up old clips showing he had said the exact same thing years earlier. He brushed it off, laughing and saying he forgot, but online, people weren't convinced at all. People saw right through that. One viral comment even called him a walking billboard, and that idea started spreading quickly. At the same time, more people began questioning his physique, and the conversation got louder than ever. Even Joe Rogan publicly speculated about possible steroid use, which pushed the topic further into the spotlight. In Hollywood, that kind of talk isn't unheard of, and some actors have admitted to it before. Johnson, however, kept standing firm, saying he was natural aside from experimenting once at 18. The issue wasn't just the claim, it was what his entire image stood for. His brand was built on discipline, grind, and hard work alone, so if anything didn't line up with that, it would shake the whole foundation people believed in. Then another major moment added even more pressure to his image. During the Maui crisis, Johnson and Oprah Winfrey encouraged the public to donate, while they themselves committed $10 million.
We're so concerned about what was happening in Maui, and so we have created the People's Fund of Maui that will put money directly in the hands of the people who need it right now. So if you send a donation, just click where you see below and send a donation. That money is going to go to one of many residents who have been displaced in.
On the surface, that sounds generous, but many people didn't see it that way. Critics questioned why two extremely wealthy figures were asking everyday people, many already struggling, to contribute as well. The backlash came in strong, and even Johnson later admitted the situation could have been handled differently. That didn't land well at all. By this stage, the energy around him had completely changed. Every public appearance started to feel overly polished, almost like everything was carefully managed and rehearsed. When he showed up on the Joe Rogan Experience, it didn't come across as raw or real. It felt more like damage control than anything else. He even admitted that his wrestling background trained him to stay positive at all times and constantly play a character no matter the situation. That explained more than he meant to. And honestly, that explains a lot more than people expected. At the same time, his moves in Hollywood started getting complicated. His long-hyped role as Black Adam became something much bigger than just another superhero movie. With DC already going through a rough phase, leadership shakeups and major changes after Zack Snyder stepped away, Johnson seemed to see a major opening, but instead of simply stepping into the role, reports suggested he pushed hard to influence the entire direction of the franchise. Originally, Black Adam was meant to appear alongside Shazam, played by Zachary Levi, building up a natural connection between the characters, but those plans shifted, and it wasn't just about separating their origins. It turned into keeping them completely apart. Johnson reportedly didn't want the two characters sharing the screen at all, and that decision made things way more complicated than expected.
Black Adam has all the powers of Superman, but Superman won't kill because he has a code of honor and a code of ethics, which we appreciate and love, but Black Adam will kill you.
Instead of developing the classic rivalry between Black Adam and Shazam, he kept pushing one clear vision: Black Adam as a darker version of Superman. He even played a part in bringing Henry Cavill back for a surprise cameo, which shocked fans in the moment, but also left many confused. Anyone familiar with the comics knew that kind of setup should have gone toward building tension with Shazam instead. But that direction didn't seem to be the priority, and people online caught onto it quickly. Fans started calling it out, with one comment saying he was only focused on Black Adam versus Superman, while ignoring the character's actual story. At that point, it became hard to ignore what was happening. This no longer felt like pure passion for the role. It felt like something much more calculated. That's when everything shifted. At that point, it started to look less like passion and more like control. Behind the scenes, reports suggested Johnson was trying to reshape the entire DC universe around himself, putting Black Adam right at the center of it all. But that plan didn't play out the way he expected. Not even close. Despite all the build-up and hype, Black Adam underperformed at the box office, and soon after, stories about tension behind the scenes began to surface. And that plan failed.
The reason or the reasons for the stopping of Black Adam?
I think that Black Adam got caught in a vortex of new leadership.
There were even claims that he wanted to promote his tequila brand during the premiere of a PG-rated film, which didn't sit well with people involved at all. It added to the growing feeling that business moves were starting to overshadow the creative side of things. Once the movie failed to meet expectations, everything seemed to unravel quickly. The larger DC plan started falling apart almost immediately, and his push to become the face of the franchise backfired in a major way. It pulled back the curtain on how things really work behind the scenes in Hollywood. Far from the polished smiles and press tours, it often comes down to power plays and high-stakes control. That's when it all started falling apart. And the irony hit hard. For years, Johnson built his image around being the most humble, grounded person in the room. But when the pressure was highest, his decisions told a different story. You could see the impact stacking up. Strained relationships, missed storytelling opportunities, and a growing sense that his personal brand was taking priority over everything else. Instead of stepping back and resetting, he made another bold move by returning to WWE. On paper, it looked like the perfect full-circle moment. Fans usually love seeing a legend come back to where it all started, but instead of easing into the story, he jumped straight into the spotlight once again. At that time, Cody Rhodes had been building momentum for over a year, heading toward a major title match against Roman Reigns, and that situation was about to get even more complicated. Fans were completely locked into that finish the story moment. It had been building for so long, and people were emotionally invested in seeing it play out. Then suddenly, Johnson stepped in and took over the spotlight, and it didn't sit right with a lot of viewers. Even longtime wrestling fans were caught off guard. He inserted himself into the main event, and Cody Rhodes had to step aside, which sparked immediate backlash. That backfired instantly. The reaction was intense and impossible to ignore. That handover video quickly became one of the most disliked videos on WWE's YouTube, and for the first time, Johnson's social media numbers actually started dropping. That alone said everything about how people were feeling in that moment. Eventually, he reversed course and gave the spotlight back, and to be fair, fans respected that decision. But it also exposed something deeper that people had been questioning for a while. It's getting harder to separate The Rock from Dwayne Johnson himself. One comment said he seemed out of character, while another claimed he had never looked more like his real self than in that exact moment. That identity confusion had been building for years, and by 2024, things only got messier. Red One was supposed to be his big comeback, a fun, easy win with a family-friendly blockbuster vibe. Instead, it turned into a major disappointment. With a reported budget of around $250 million, the film didn't even break even and ended up performing worse than Baywatch, which was already considered a miss. But the real controversy wasn't just about the movie's performance, it was everything happening behind the scenes. Reports claimed that Johnson's behavior may have added up to $50 million to the production costs. Insiders alleged he was showing up extremely late, sometimes by 7 to 8 hours, and in some cases not showing up at all, leaving entire crews waiting while expenses kept climbing. And then came the detail that really got people talking. Multiple sources claimed he was using bottles instead of taking bathroom breaks and handing them off to staff, which only added to the growing list of concerns and made the whole situation feel even more unreal. At first, his team pushed back and denied the claims, trying to shut everything down, but then things took a strange turn during an interview when he casually said, "I pee in a bottle. Yeah, that happens."
4 on the market in a training shoe, and I just realized you just saw my big bottle of a pee. Look, I go hardcore when I train. I don't have time to go to the bathroom. I find a bottle, I pee in it, and I keep training like a beast.
That moment didn't smooth anything over. It actually made the situation feel even more real and harder to ignore. That only made things worse. Instead of clearing things up, it added fuel to the conversation. He also admitted that he does show up late sometimes, even though he tried to downplay how often it happens. What was supposed to fix the narrative ended up doing the opposite, making people question even more. And once that door opened, more reports started coming out, especially connected to Rampage, where he was allegedly late by hours on a regular basis. Some insiders even claimed he limited his work hours to just a few hours a day, which clashed hard with the hardest worker in the room image he built over the years. Even when co-stars spoke up to defend him, it didn't fully help. If anything, it made it seem like this behavior had become normalized behind the scenes. That's the reality of Hollywood at that level.
Make a film called Lizard Music, which is based off of a novel written by Daniel Pinkwater. And the role that I will play is a very whimsical and eccentric 70-something-year-old man called the Chicken Man. And his best friend is a 70-something-year-old chicken
The reason for all his weight loss is he's going to be starring in a new movie called Lizard Music, where he plays a 70-year-old man whose best friend is a chicken.
When someone becomes powerful enough, their issues often turn into everyone else's responsibility. Entire productions start revolving around one person's schedule, and staff handle things without question just to keep everything moving. In that kind of environment, staying grounded becomes a real challenge, and that bubble can grow fast until it eventually bursts. We've seen similar situations before. Public images that once seemed untouchable can shift overnight. Will Smith's reputation changed in a single moment. Ellen DeGeneres faced major backlash against her be kind persona, and even other big names have faced rumors about control behind the scenes. It's a pattern that keeps repeating. The public image looks perfect, but the reality underneath can get complicated. Now Johnson finds himself in a complicated position. He's still one of the highest paid actors in the world, no question about that, but the level of trust people once had doesn't feel the same anymore. He didn't suddenly turn into a full villain. It's more like he slowly became the kind of figure he once seemed completely different from. People can see that now. At this point, it feels like the brand started coming first and the person second. And honestly, that might be the bigger issue. Looking ahead, he's got major projects lined up like the live-action Moana and the Smashing Machine, and these could either rebuild his image or push things even further in the wrong direction. Early reactions from the Venice Film Festival are already saying his role in the Smashing Machine is completely different. More raw, more stripped down, more real than anything people have seen from him before. And that's where the irony really hits. If he wants to win people back, it might mean letting go of the Rock persona completely. No more perfectly controlled image, no more untouchable superstar energy, just a real performance where he fully disappears into the character. Because right now, the criticism isn't fading, and the pressure is only building as his career moves into a more uncertain phase. The real question people keep asking is simple but heavy. Can the person behind the image actually make a comeback? Or has he been buried under everything he created over the years? Because once the image cracks, it never fully comes back. If you made it this far, drop your thoughts below.